everyone. Welcome to At Home with Sally. I'm Sally Clarkson, and I have the biggest privilege in the world to be with so many friends from all over the world who join me every week to listen to my stories, inspiration, biblical encouragement, and I am just so glad that you're here today. Thanks so much for joining me. Hello, my friends. How are you today? I will tell you what I'm doing. I'm sitting in my little study. It's a little bit cold.
A little bit.
I'm here with my sweet friend, Misty Krasowski, who I will tell you about in just a few minutes. Sunday afternoon, and just the funniest thing in the world in my life is that we have a whole group, a whole team of people flying out to take pictures of my house and of me for a future book. You can't know what the book is yet, and it'll be a couple years down the line. But anyway, I have been baking baked goods with Misty. What did we make this morning, Misty?
Oh my gracious. You made cinnamon rolls, which I am so excited to tuck into here very soon. Mm-hmm. And I made scones for our UK friends.
There you go. They were,
and chili.
Yeah, they were cranberry or craisin.
White chocolate
pecan scones. And they're really good.
They look very good. Mm-hmm. And we sprinkled them with some red sugar.
To pretend that it looks Christmassy.
Right.
And I made a big pot of, or Misty and I made a big pot of, I guess she did, or I don't know. It's a dump soup of chili. I made a big pot of my chicken soup that I make, chicken and rice soup, and I roasted walnuts.
Now you're making everyone hungry, and it's too bad that they can't smell your house right now because it's pretty divine in here.
Doesn't it smell great?
It really does.
And you and I are getting ready to have a tea time with Clay.
We are, because we're going to share your cinnamon rolls.
Yeah,
apparently.
we have to taste them.
We do. We wouldn't want to, poison anyone or anything.
I know. So for the next several days, I will be busy trying to work on this book and take beautiful pictures so you can see inside my home and some of the things we're doing. And I wanted to tell you about Misty. Many of you have heard Misty on my podcast before, but Misty is my angel friend. You know, when you're in ministry, you work. We were talking today about how surprised we are when somebody actually does something thoughtful for us.
Oh, goodness, right. That's mostly because we're moms, I suppose.
I think so. But and when they do, you just feel like crying because it's such a nice thing.
Oh, it's so wonderful.
So Misty is that person for me. How did we meet, Misty?
Oh, my goodness. I met you at a conference probably 13 years ago-ish, something like that. We never know what days are, or years, but around 12 or 13 years ago in Dallas. I came to a conference, and then I think I stood in line, like one of those people, to meet you and
really?
To say hi. Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And then I think I emailed you and you answered and we started talking, and then I came to an intensive, and that was a mazillion years ago.
Well, I used to have these things for some of you who are new to my podcast and my arena. And I had these things in my home. I wish I still could.
I know.
But we would have 35 to 50 women inside my home for 3 days. And it was an intensive leadership training. We fed them off of my grandmother's and mother-in-law's china. And we had wonderful meals. We had lectures. We had little gifts to give to people to remind them of who they were. And the point was to refresh, restore, train, inspire, and then send women out to go start Bible studies in their own hometown, in their own places, because in our ministry, we believe so much that women need friends and women need community and women need to be growing spiritually. Mm-hmm. But anyway, Missy just, every time I would see her, she was volunteering for something or she came to something at my house. And she is the person who, when I was living in England my first time and I injured my eye, I cut my cornea all the way down to the bottom. And there was a thought for about 12 weeks that I was going to go blind. And so the eye doctors were giving me, in London, in a very special clinic, they were giving me these, we called them poison eye drops, because they were trying to make sure that I didn't get some kind of a bacterial infection deep in the center of my eye. But to fight it, they gave me these eye drops that literally stung like somebody had put a knife in my eye, and my eyes watered. I couldn't see anything. Of course, I couldn't see out of this eye. Still can't. But Misty traveled with me. You're still helping me.
Isn't that funny?
You traveled.
Yeah,
she would
did.
scratch my back to kind of
was so
distract me
hard.
from how much my eye was hurting.
Those drops were awful. I remember you said later that another doctor said to you that it was basically like dropping bleach in your eye.
Yeah, he said it was actually a woman in Scotland at the Edinburgh conference where we were speaking. And she said, it's like putting acid on your eyeball.
Oh my gosh, it just gives me the, that's not a good idea.
I know. I've had such exciting times with that and my hip, and you've been here both times to help me.
I don't know how much help I am, but I am going to eat some cinnamon rolls.
Oh, I know, me too. But anyway, Misty is the person who really, because we have been swimming in the waters of all the things that I've written about and believe for so many years, that she can garner old blog posts. She was gathering lots of my writing for Mom Heart Moments. And then she was she helped me think through and grab old stories and grab new stories, make up new stories, get scripture. She's a friend of mine in ministry because she is amazingly wonderful at helping.
So sweet.
I think that whenever you see an author or a speaker or somebody who God has opened a door for them to be able to influence people, you always have to know that it's not just them. It's the amazing, faithful friends behind it. And so I am grateful for Misty forever and also love her life. And we were just sitting in my room today reminiscing about a lot of things. We can pretty much talk about any things. We think there are a lot of stupid things going on in the world.
We do.
And stupid things that we will never admit online.
That we think they're stupid, right.
And we can talk about our children because we both have adult children and we've lived a long time. So Misty, how old are your children? Oldest to youngest?
Right. So my oldest is 29. So they are 29, 27, 24, 22, 19, 17, 14, and 12. Yeah.
That's a lot of kids.
that was a long list.
Yeah, that was a long list. So all that to say, and Misty lives in Franklin near Nashville, Tennessee. And so we just thought you could kind of sit in on some of the friendship conversation we've been having today. We cooked all the stuff this morning and then we ran out for these newfangled tacos. And I decided they were not the best tacos in the world. So now we have to look forward to our cinnamon rolls.
My lips are burning a little bit, but that's okay. The sour cream helped.
Well, mine was that big piece of fat and gristle that was right. I'm sorry.
Well, there you go.
So anyway, all that to say, the cinnamon rolls, we're really kind of tired and giddy, aren't we?
We are.
But anyway, hopefully you will put up with me today anyway. So one of the things we were talking about, I think that Misty agrees and understands and swims in the same waters of philosophy, of life, of theology. She's getting her master's degree, right?
I can't believe I'm doing that, but yes.
At St. Andrews, where my children are.
Yeah.
And we talked theology with Clay all last night.
We did.
It was so much fun.
That was so fun. I feel like I've always wanted to do that. And even though I've been around a lot, usually there's a lot of other people. So it was kind of fun to just sit down and pretend I was one of your kids.
Did you think we were faking it?
No, I believed it happened. I just hadn't ever experienced
it. Really does happen, doesn't
I
it?
got to actually ask him what he thought of something. You know what I mean? And then we could talk about it together. So that was really fun.
Well, the reason I say that is because I think we do a lot of fun things, but we also really do spend a lot of time talking about theology and books we've read and ideas and because we love what we get to do. We love that we get to research, think. We love Jesus. We love the truth and virtue of Jesus. And so we did have a wonderful, dynamic conversation last night.
We did.
But I do think people think that I make it up, you know.
When you say that you do that. Because who does that? Who even sits at a table, let alone talks at the table anymore, right?
Well, and, you know, add all the rest of my children in, and it's like this really loud wrangling group of people. We eat, we talk, we do theology. Anyway, it's not just theology. We have lots of fun.
Yeah.
But, so I'm going to kind of segue now into what we're going to talk about. But, we have many subjects that we pondered for bringing up this fall. And I do need to I still am going to do for all of you who won the evening with Sally, where you can ask questions. I would love for you to start sending some of your questions in to admin@wholeheart.org, ADMIN at WHOLEHEART.org. So if you are a person who listens to my podcast regularly, or if you won one of the places on the Zoom that we're going to do with me really soon, I promise it'll happen soon, then send us questions. What would you like us to talk about? But one of the things that Misty just mentioned a minute ago, what did you say we should tell?
Well, it's funny because it's actually sort of what we were just laughing about, which was the things that we love about our adult children that we feel like the seeds were kind of planted long ago. We were talking about, what do you think it was that happened years ago that kind of made what we enjoy with our kids now the way it is, you know?
Like what, and I think you even said, what are you so glad that you did when they were little?
Yeah. I think, and the first thing that always comes to mind is reading stories, because I think that is just such a huge thing. I think reading stories together gave us some common language, common grammar, characters that we knew. We could joke about them, when something happens oh, thanks so much, Joe March or whatever. So that is an immediate thing. But then I thought, what else is funny is that when my children were littler, that's really good. I don't know what kind of grammar that is.
They were littler.
They were small. They were littler. I think carrying them everywhere and having them close to me kind of laid a foundation of that nearness. Now I cannot carry them around anymore because one of them is 6'8", and even my daughters are both taller than me. I only have one child that's shorter than me, and it's by an inch at this point. So they're all quickly overtaking me. But I think the idea of nearness that was kind of laid down early carried through in that we like to be together. Do you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't a matter of, okay, I'm bringing my baby, so now I need a stroller and a carrier and a thingy, and I'm going to put them over there. I really kind of like to hold them close. I don't know. I really enjoyed that.
Well, I think we were talking about, which I think will encourage many people, and that is that neither of us were natural at motherhood. Yeah. In other words, neither of us had been trained exactly what to do or know what to do, but both of us had this feeling. When I had Sarah, and it totally overtook me by surprise. Yeah. When I was holding her, first of all, I was almost, this sounds dumb, but that's how I felt. I thought, oh my gosh, it's a baby. I mean,
surprise.
Yeah, but to have a real live human being that came out of my body, and I'm sitting there holding this little precious one. And I knew right away, I didn't know everything about motherhood, but I thought, oh my goodness, God has, of all the people in the whole world, God has chosen me and Clay to take care of this baby, to teach this baby about love, about God's love, to protect this baby from the evil in the world, to teach this baby to think intellectually so that they could love God with their mind. And I mean, all these things that I'd been teaching other people in ministry and discipleship, when I had a baby, it was a sacred moment. Yeah. And I was absolutely dumbfounded. And so I think that, and when I look at people are so formulaic. They want a formula. I understand that. We all want formulas. We want it to be easy. There's formulas like, if you do these 50 things, your child will sleep through the night. You know, all children will sleep through the night. You're just not doing it right, you people. Or, if you don't discipline your child early, then if they end up becoming rebellious and if they go to hell, it'll be your fault. Well, I heard all these ridiculous things.
That's terrifying. I mean, that is just really a terrifying concept. Yeah.
And so I feel like what we both talked about today too, and this was not popular around, I'm older than you.
Right.
How much older am I than you?
A little.
Yeah.
16 years, but
Okay,
it's
so I'm 16 years older than you. No one was talking about this, but I intuitively
Uh-huh.
knew that I was supposed to attach to my little girl.
Right.
I held her. I sang to her.
Right.
I took her everywhere I went. I talked to her morning, noon, and night. It took me a while to adjust to motherhood because,
Right.
I remember saying one time to Clay, which people have laughed at, but I said, oh my gosh, they're not going to go away on the weekend because
it isn't really how it's supposed to go. So no, they're not going to. They're going to still be there.
I had worked for many years and
Yeah.
then I had babies in there. I realized, okay, this is it forever.
Yeah.
But I was surprised. I was very grateful that in spite of all of the advice that I was getting, that I knew God wanted me to be gentle, to be loving, to be tender, to touch, to kiss, to hold. And when I look at all the guilt that moms feel about their children and feel like they have behavioral problems or whatever, a lot of babies communicate by crying.
Right.
That's how they communicate if something isn't feeling right or going well. Doesn't mean they're rebellious. It doesn't mean they're bad. And babies' personalities come out. Some babies are more verbal. Some babies are easier going. That is not because you're doing the right formula. It's because when they grow up, you're going to say, oh, my child was always this way or that way. But I've been getting a lot of letters lately from women who've said their friends are making them feel guilty because they're doing round the clock, breastfeeding and nursing and nursing on demand. And I think, you know what? If in your personality you have the ability and the time to control your child more, well, good for you. What I mean is go after the philosophy that God has convinced you of in your heart is right. That babies were made to be different, have different personalities. One of my children didn't sleep through the night until they were 4.
My goodness.
And imagine that this child still grew up to be an adult.
Right. They don't still stay up all night and keep you up. Thank goodness.
I wish they would because I like talking to them.
Right. I know.
Another child of mine, one night I said, Mommy really wants you to go to sleep. I'm not going to pick you up. Mommy wants you to go to sleep. From then on, that child never got up. Never. And, she was just the easiest in the whole world child.
Wow.
Then I had Joel, and Joel would eat for about 2 minutes and then he would get distracted by something else.
Oh.
So I had to feed him often because you can't, he big old baby.
Take it all at once. Yeah. Wow.
So what I want you to know is you are exactly the mother that your child needs. This is the specific baby God trusted into your hands. This is also the specific adult child that God trusted into your hands. And you have the freedom to say, God, show me how to love them, how to train them, how to instruct or to be joyful in front of them. Tell me how to love you in front of them so that this child will reach their full potential.
Right.
So I was really, no one told me these things, but I would pray and I would read scripture, and I had discipled a lot of adults. And I thought, I need to give this child as much attention as I would ever give to any adult who had been in my ministry before.
I think the whole idea that, you talk about that wonder at Sarah, I felt similarly with my first child, who was a boy. I remember just thinking oh my goodness, this is a person.
Yeah.
This is a person who is a baby who cannot do anything for himself and who obviously has his own, I don't know, not that they have ideas as far as manipulating you, because I think sometimes there's that teaching that's your child is trying to manipulate you if they cry, and which is ridiculous because they don't even have the cognitive ability to do that. But that this is a person who has feelings, right? Yeah. That was the main thing. And this child is also in the image of God. So that means I need to respect this child as a person. And if I look at what this child needs, and live with them in an honoring way, I think that's what lays foundation, right? For great relationships with your adult children, because you continue to live that way. Mm-hmm. You're not looking at them as a problem or looking at them as something to control. Mm-hmm. I think control is such a big word. People feel like because people will say, get your child under control. I mean, really?
I know. Well, and the thing is, we should talk maybe a whole session about child training.
Oh, yeah.
Because it wasn't that we didn't train. We trained and trained and trained.
No, exactly.
We taught our children so many things that helped them to grow strong inside, is what we called it. Mm-hmm. But I think
we loved them first, and wow, we did it, right? And that's why.
Well, you provide a safe, secure environment.
Right.
If you want them to believe that God will answer their prayers, you answer their desires. Mm-hmm. If you want them to believe that God is trustworthy, you are trustworthy.
Right.
And I certainly do not in any way want to step on anyone's toes. All of us at times are exhausted. We lose our temper. We do things that we wish we, hadn't said or done or whatever. However, in general, I realize that I have, and you were saying this too.
Yeah.
We have the capacity to imagine and envision and respond in a mature way to our children.
Right.
We can be gentle. We can be kind. We can be, when you touch and kiss your children, you're making them more intelligent. When you give up your own rights in order to embrace them, you're actually embracing God. You are honoring the value that God gave to human beings when you take care of one that he trusted into your hands.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's an honor to do that, even when it's a lot of hard work. And I was saying this earlier, I found myself experiencing healing, I think, of a sort of some of my own broken places as I met the needs of my children that had not been met in my own life. There was something reciprocal about that somehow.
Tell just more specifically, 30 seconds. You were not nurtured.
Right. I felt like I was told stories about how my mom was guided by her doctors to, if she cries, just put her in her crib and then slam the door.
Oh my goodness.
I was like, who thought that was a good idea? Yeah. But I know with my child, I could feel his feelings in a way. It was strange. And I was like, I want to cry?
Your heart was made to empathize with your child because it's your child that came out of your body, or it's your child that you adopted and said, I will be committed to this child.
You took into your heart.
Yeah.
Right.
When you take a child into your heart, you have this empathy.
Right.
And it doesn't mean that you're not going to sometime get angry. I know that children can test you, they can try you, they can stretch you. But I think that overall...
Right. Your pattern and habit should be to answer those calls and cries and needs as much as possible. I remember hearing someone say that a child who feels right will usually act right. And that was really good for me to steer some things. If I had somebody who was acting up, not to necessarily think, oh my goodness, this child is being a brat, or they're, manipulating me, or they're whatever, but to say, what is not feeling right for this child right now? Are they tired? Are they, hungry? Are they, what else is happening here? And I found that to be pretty true, that when they felt well and our relationship was good, that was the other thing. If they hadn't had a lot of attention that day, my kids would act out more and would be difficult. So.
Well, and I think too, that works for adults. I mean,
that's true.
The more,
really
if somebody comes or yells at me or is impatient or seems grumpy or whatever, instead of taking it personally and saying, I can't believe they did that to me, or I can't believe they talked to me that way. I feel like more and more, even from raising children, I've learned to stand back and go, obviously this person is frustrated.
Yeah.
Where did the frustration start?
Yeah.
What is really bothering you? What is underneath this? Why are you hurting? And I talked the other day about a gentle answer, turning away wrath. And I think that all of us long to be loved, to be accepted, to be admired, to be valued. And so when we express things that aren't healthy or that show our frustration, we're really wanting understanding and help and respect more than we really care to get into a fight.
Right.
And then, of course, there are people whose patterns of relating have been unhealthy their whole lives. And that's when you read the 1,000 books that you and I read. You confess your sin. You try to say, okay, these are the things I do want to become this year. I want to be patient. I want to be gentle. I want to be wise. I want to be fun. Whatever they are. You choose adjectives to live in the direction of, or you choose descriptive words. Okay, so what about adult children? We're not going to talk much longer because cinnamon rolls are waiting.
They are.
But I feel like, and you and I have talked about this, the longer I followed what I felt like was God's pattern, to be a servant leader because he was a servant leader, to be humble and meek because he was humble and meek. He was my guide, to feed, to protect, to teach, to care for, because he did that for his disciples. Yeah. And you were upstairs today working on some things. And I was supposed to get things done in that hour. But I spent an hour. Joy called me, and she's traveling through New York and on her way to finalize a job that she has been working towards. And we had so much fun talking. And then the moment that she hung up, Joel called, and he talked to me for 40 minutes. And shared his heart, and we got to talk about all the things that he's doing and having fun in, and he asked all about me. And then you and I were talking, and I don't know, I especially want to say this to people as they pursue that unconditional love relationship, but I didn't know how gratifying it would be to have given myself to my children, and now they are my best and dearest friends. I mean, more than anyone else in the world. We share each other's values. We care for each other. And it started out with caring when they're little. But you were talking about...
It does. Yeah. No, I think that having, again, so you have all this shared context, you have shared history, you like the favorite foods, the same foods and the same, whether it's salad dressing or restaurants or whatever it was that you've spent years doing. It's your way of doing things. And I feel the same way. And now it's fun because, now I have daughters-in-law who are also, have walked into that crazy big life that we have. And they're my best friends too, because we're doing that same thing, spending as much time together as we can. And I'm trying to respect them as adults and not tell them what to do, and do a lot of listening. And it's really kind of all the same in a lot of ways, like even understanding that.
You never quit.
Yeah.
Loving and serving. Loving and serving.
Right. But what's fun is that now I get advice from my kids. I get good viewpoints from my kids. I receive, I learn so much from their opinions, and they've helped me understand a little bit more about what culture is like today. I've really tried to listen to what they say rather than just kind of like shutting that off because it's a new opinion.
What could be true from what they're saying?
Yeah. And there has been a lot of things that are true from what they're saying. And I'm thinking, wow, I'm so glad I know this because I'm listening to you.
Yeah. And I feel like one of the things we talked about a lot this week, and then we're going to end, but is that God's goal for us was to raise children who could graduate from our home, in a sense, go into the world, that we trusted them, that we did as much as we could to build their spiritual and intellectual and emotional muscle. But God never asked us to control our children anymore. He didn't try to control his disciples.
Right.
He trained them, and he said, now I'm going to give you, it is to my honor and glory that you go into the world and out of your own capacity, try to make this a beautiful place where people understand God's love and his kingdom. Right. And I think that's an important part of being a parent of adult children, is setting them free. So what if they don't do everything exactly as you did it?
Yeah, and they won't. I mean, they just won't. There'll be some things that they won't be able to because they have their own puzzle. Yeah. Because they are their own people.
But I am, actually, we were talking about this too, shocked at how much my girls and I are alike and how much my boys and I are alike. Just that because we loved each other together and we're a community who belonged to one another for so many years, we all actually cannot wait to be together.
Well, and that's it. They are the people I would choose to be with over anyone else.
Me too.
I didn't know
these are my
that it
chosen
would be that
people.
way. Right.
I didn't know how fulfilling
I feel like
it
so
would
many
be.
people are like, well, when you just raise them until they're 18. It is not, that
That's
is
what
not
my
how it
parents
goes.
told me.
Right.
No, my parents said the same thing. Well, anyway, we have blah, blah, blah a lot. I hope that some of what we've said today has been encouraging to you. But I would just tell you that God designed the family, mother, father, children. He designed them to have a place to belong, a place to learn, a place to be safe, a place to celebrate life. And when you, as the conductor of this beauty and faith and goodness, and a lot of times it's by faith. I especially remember those days we had ear-infected asthmatic children, and sometimes they would just give it one to the other, to the other, to the other, and it would be weeks until I would sleep.
That's so hard.
There are hard times. However, knowing this is God's will, I am building a legacy of faithful people, and then watching the friendships form with my children. And watching the fulfillment it is to have a place to belong. I didn't learn it before I became a parent, but I learned it by imagining it and then acting it out.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
So you don't have to have had training before. You just have to have a heart that says, I want to help create a life, a community, a beauty, a belonging, a safety, a spiritual haven. And I'm going to learn how to do it little by little. And I'm going to love, love, love these children that God has given me.
One day at a time.
One day at a time. Yeah. So anything else?
Gosh, I don't think so. That's a lot. It's a lot. It's making me miss my kids, actually.
I know. I hate to say it, but no matter how mature I act, whenever they leave, I swallow and I think, okay, I'm going to be fine.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to call them in the next 5 minutes. No, I don't.
I'll call you in 5 minutes.
I know. I try to be patient. I try to hold off. I try to let them call me. But anyway, it is a reward to have lived into this pattern that God created to be a comfort for us.
Yeah.
So why don't you pray for everyone?
Okay. Lord, thank you so much. Thank you just for all that you are, for all that you've given us. Thank you for the children you've sent into our families. Thank you for the gift that it is to get to learn. I've learned so much through my children about the ways that you love me, Lord. I pray that you would just draw near to every person listening, God. I pray that you would be our strength. I pray you would be our wisdom. And I would pray you would help us to love our people well. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. And thank you, everyone, for being with us. Pray that our pictures go well.
Yes, exactly.
And we look forward to being with you again soon. I hope you have a really great week.
Bye-bye.
Bye. I hope you've enjoyed our time together today and that you'll join me next week. Be sure to look for more inspiration on my blog at sallyclarkson.com. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.